This week, we interview Mike Forster and hear about his amazing fitness transformation. Let's get into it. Oh, yeah. Welcome, Mike Forster, to the show. How you doing today, bud?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this all started when Dewey put up, or I think he shared your post on Facebook, and it had some pretty dramatic transformation pictures. And we love hearing stories about how people have made changes in their nutrition and fitness worlds.
That's easily my number one hashtag to follow on Instagram.
Yes. Yeah, the hashtag transformation.
Yep.
Yep. Oh, it's so inspiring and cool for people to see examples of what's possible.
I had one gal get triggered.
By his?
No, by because I share them in my story on Instagram all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And some gal says, "This isn't motivating anybody. This is offensive."
No way. Well, I guess if you're a glass half empty person, maybe it doesn't. But for me, I see this and I go, holy shit, this is possible.
Well, she just thought I was an asshole, like I was rubbing it in.
Oh, right.
Saying, "Look what she did, and you can." And that's
Right,
not
right.
what I'm saying.
Not at all. If anything, it's you can do this too.
Right.
Yeah.
Look where this guy started. So, Mike, I got your first picture up on the screen here, and I'll just read a little bit from your post. It says, here's a series of pictures showing progress over 4.5 years. That's a good point right there, too. This is not something that you did in
sprint.
6 weeks or, 8 weeks or something. Okay, the first pic is summer 2017.
Whoa, wait.
Yep, wait.
You didn't do this with wraps?
You didn't put a seaweed wrap on your belly?
Well, I left that part out.
Oh, okay. All right. We can get into that
That's the
later.
secret, wraps. Yeah, okay, so the first pic, summer 2017, 420 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, dude.
Somewhere in that ballpark.
So I want to get into this.
That's like two people.
Right. I mean, how tall are you, by the way?
6'2".
Okay. So same as Dewey here, just about. And what do you weigh right now?
I'm not telling you. Nice try.
We're in the middle of a cutting challenge right now.
231 as far as Josh is concerned.
Okay. So, yeah, you were basically double the size of Dewey here at about the same height.
Yep.
So I want to get into how you got there. So you said you're 38 now?
Yep, 38 now.
So you were basically, 33 and a half or whatever, 33. So what led you down this path? Like how were you raised, diet-wise, nutrition-wise? What was your life like growing up?
So growing up, like we didn't talk about nutrition. I didn't know anything about it. We ate. I mean, now looking back, like a ton of high carb stuff, processed food. I mean, everything was cooked at home, but a lot of spaghetti nights and stuff like that, where there's very, very, very little protein, just a ton of fat, a ton of carbs. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't overweight until after high school. Through high school, I played sports, was in good shape, graduated high school, and found fast food drive-thrus. I mean, that's basically what it came down to. I gained, 40, 50 pounds right after high school.
The freshman 40?
Yeah, roughly somewhere in that ballpark. Went from like 220 to like 250, 270, somewhere in that range.
Well, shit, back then the number 3 at McDonald's was like $1.90.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it was so cheap, like it made sense. I was broke and
Fill up your car and your belly for $10.
Right.
Yep. So I'd eat fast food 2-3 times a day generally. That didn't take the time to cook.
Right.
Yeah, and I gained weight, and then I would drop a bunch of weight, and then I'd gain a bunch of weight. I mean, the first time I lost, I actually got into weightlifting with, an amateur bodybuilder at the time who taught me about meal prep and counting macros and the basics of weightlifting. And I mean, in a few months, I lost all the weight that I had gained, was back to like my high school weight, and thought I was in the best shape ever. Well, and then I went, okay, cool. I met my goal. I can stop doing this crap.
Right.
Then found bars and drinking more. I mean, growing up in a small town in Wisconsin, there's not a whole lot else to do besides drink and or get in trouble.
We can relate.
Or growing up in a big town in Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's very true. I mean, alcohol is kind of top priority. So, I mean, did a lot of drinking after that, which led back to fast food and drive-thrus, and just yo-yoed over the years from probably, well, not even probably, from age 18 to 33. I'd gain 50 pounds. I'd drop 20 or 30. I'd gain 70 next time. I'd drop some of it, just all with these like crash diets, go no carb for a while, but I mean, not understanding that it was some kind of keto or
just kind of following trends
just going with kind of what, even though like I think I knew the right way to do it, just there was never enough motivation to keep doing it. I could do it for, I don't know, a couple, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, and then be like, yeah, I met my goal.
And then stop
again. I think that's a big problem with people in general. They don't necessarily fail. They just don't know what to do once they meet their goal.
They think it's a finish line. They don't fall in love with the process. They think there's a finish line, and there isn't.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle change. It's not a diet. You were doing it like you had to meet a goal to like, be in a boxing match or a wrestling match. I got to make weight. And then once the match was over, you're like, well, back to my regular lifestyle.
Yep.
And really, if you want to make transformational change like you did, you have to stick with it. I mean, it's a lifestyle change. It's a new way of thinking. It's not a temporary diet strategy.
And unbeknownst to almost everyone that does that, you ultimately just end up a metabolic dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because your hormones are just all over the place.
Yep.
Just getting ravaged by, you can't adjust quick enough, and it just destroys your body's ability to respond. I mean, I'm sure your insulin and all the other, hormones involved were just going crazy.
Which each time you try and lose it again, it's harder and harder.
Yep. Insulin resistant and all that. Now, did you know about like any of the stuff we're talking about, or were you just going to say, hey, I'll go low carb for a while?
I just kind of went with low carb was real popular then. So I'd do low carb. I mean, I even tried Weight Watchers for a while.
More of a calorie restriction.
So starvation.
Yeah, I was starving myself. I mean, plain and simple, I would I could lose an astronomical amount of weight real fast and then put all of it back on and then some.
Sure.
Wow. So when did you finally snap and be like, okay, time to do something for real?
Everybody wants to know the
why.
The what pushed you over the edge.
Yeah, what was the
tipping
straw?
point?
Yeah.
All right, so 33 years old, somewhere in the neighborhood of 420 pounds. I feel absolutely terrible every day. Like physically, I'm in pain all the time. Walking is exhausting. I get winded just bending over to tie my shoes, and even that I can't really do. At the time, my kids would have been 2 and 4, and I had a daily pill organizer at the age of 33 for blood pressure and cholesterol and depression and a whole list of things that I'm sitting there going, hey, I'm 33 years old. I'm already using a pill organizer, and I'm going to die before my kids get out of high school. And was a sobering feeling. Like a doctor didn't come out and tell me that I was dying in the next 10 years, but I made it real, I guess.
Yeah.
Like in my head, like I was convinced that if I didn't do something, I was going to die before my kids even got out of high school. And I wasn't okay with that.
No shit. That's awesome. Let me backtrack on one thing that you said there. You said you had pills for depression. How much do you think, now were you depressed because you were fat, or do you think that the inflammation and the hormones involved in your body were causing some of that too?
Yeah. I mean, it's a combination.
Yeah.
I would definitely say it's a combination. I mean, for the most part, I just felt crappy. I don't even necessarily know that it was depression. I just felt like crap all the time. I mean, who knows what exactly, but hormones had to be all over the place.
You can't help but get frustrated.
Yeah.
And start to feel down.
And
it's just going to be, byproduct or not, it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, even when I was that big, even before like I made the change, like I still wanted to change. It just didn't. Like you just beat yourself up. Like I assimilate it to going out drinking all night, waking up the next morning so hungover, and go, oh, I'm never doing that again. And then
that's just kind of your constant state of being.
Yeah, it was just kind of like, oh my God, why did I eat all that crap last night? And then wake up the next day, and now I'm hungry because I ate right before I crawled into bed, and go pile down another pile of crap.
Oh yeah, exactly. So when you finally hit that wall and said, all right, I'm doing this for real and with lasting results, how did you approach it? What did you discover or choose to be your path? You tried all these low carb,
Everyone wants to know.
weightlifting.
Everyone wants the step one.
Right. Like what path did you choose to go down?
So for me, I ended up doing something called intermittent fasting, which basically just restricted the amount of time that I could eat like crap. Right. I found that reasonable to do. I also didn't put a ton of pressure on losing weight. I mean, in the past, every time I'd get all geared up, and over the weekend, I'd go buy all my supplements and take pictures and weigh in and take measurements all over the place, and it would last 2 weeks. And I go, okay, well, that was
part of the excitement.
Yeah, so it would be exciting to do that.
You can't maintain that intensity.
Okay, now the excitement's died.
Right. It's like I saw a tweet a long time ago where it said, I was going through some old photos and I found a bunch of, over the past years, a bunch of before photos. And all it was me progressively getting fatter.
Yeah. I mean, that's where I've found pictures. I did not take pictures to start. I at the time, I wasn't even using a scale anymore. Once I saw over 400, I just stopped, and that was months earlier. It was a no pressure approach. And also in the back of my mind, I was going to do it forever.
Like, and it wasn't ego driven. It wasn't be like, hey, look at, watch me show off.
No,
and build up all this intensity. It was just kind of silent and authentic. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting.
I'm going to do it. I'm not going to talk about it. I mean, actions speak louder than words. So my thought was, hey, let's actually get some traction going with this before I even bring it up. And I probably did it for a year or two before I really talked much about it. It was really, really, really slow. I started strictly with intermittent fasting. My eating window was something like 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And I would stick to that every day. I'd still go through the McDonald's drive-thru and Taco Bell and every other form of fast food. But I started
a limited time,
an eating window. So at least it restricted how many calories I had the time to eat in a day.
And at least your body had a chance to actually digest and work on some other processes instead of just constantly working on digestion 24 hours a day.
And then that also made me feel a little bit better. Like, hey, I haven't lost a ton of weight, but I'm not eating as much. I do feel better. I wasn't paying attention to the scale. I wasn't taking pictures. So it was just kind of like, hey, I feel a little better. My clothes fit a little bit better. I like this. So then I wish I would have documented more, but then again, who knows what would have happened.
I do have your picture up here now, your second picture, which was summer 2019. So this would have been 2 years after you started. 350. So you're down 70 pounds.
Yep.
In 2 years. I mean, that's pretty slow, honestly.
Yeah. Really,
35
really,
pounds
really
a year.
Slow. That was
3 pounds a month.
Yeah. First started with fasting and then slowly replaced crappy meals with chicken, rice, broccoli, more like real food. Like I would do, all right, one meal a day, I'm sticking to something like that. A piece of meat, a carb, and some veggies. Sure. And then that turned into, okay, now I can do a little bit more of that. And then that led to, hey, why don't we start taking family walks and taking the kids out for a walk and just getting a little bit of exercise. And then that turned into the kids riding bikes. And now I got to try to keep up. So at first it was jogging. And then I was still too big for my knees.
Right.
So I picked up a pair of rollerblades. Okay. And finding rollerblades to hold a 350-pound man was challenging, especially in a size, 15, I think it is. So I found one that is made in the entire world, it appears. And I started rollerblading, which ended up getting competitive. So I had this, at the time I lived in Omaha, Nebraska, and there was a walking trail, but nice paved around like this nature area right in the middle of the city. It was a 6-mile lap. I would do 2 laps. So it'd be 12 miles. It would take me just over an hour. And I made sure every single time I did it, I beat my previous time by at least a second.
Okay.
So now like I've got the nutrition is going okay. And that's right around, so that picture, summer 2019, that's about when I started adding in the exercise.
Yeah, it says you added in weightlifting here.
Yeah, so rollerbladed for a while. That turned into running, and shin splints to the point where I couldn't barely even walk. It was so painful. So I was like, hey, there's a gym like half a block away. I don't know, get a gym membership and try weightlifting again. And that was a weird feeling. Walking into a gym, 350 pounds. I get why people are hesitant to walk into gyms now. It's just it's an intimidating feeling.
Well, how much of that was put on yourself though? Because did you feel in reality that you were shunned or were you welcomed?
No. wide open. Like there was no shunning. It was all in my head. Like every time I walked in, I assumed people are watching me. And like, at first I was watching other people like, okay, nobody's really paying attention to me. They don't really care. So then I just kind of did my own thing.
That's a great point, because we found that people in fitness in general are just happy that you're there giving a crap at all and trying to make a change. And in fact, I'd say that people that are overweight would be almost welcomed more aggressively, just because, hey, someone's taking charge finally, and everybody wants to applaud them.
Even to the point where I would see people at the gym and it root for them. Mm-hmm. I'd look for them the next time. I'd be like, God, I hope they came.
Yep, I definitely have been there.
And you almost want to go over and help them out, like, hey, what do you need to keep going?
But it's so fucking condescending.
Well, yeah, you don't want to be like, let me show you how it's done.
Yeah.
Beginner, you noob.
Right.
Because you had already weightlifted in the past, so you kind of knew.
I mean, I had a real basic, just a few months worth. Like, I understood the concept of it. I mean, I stuck with all machines at first.
Yeah.
Just basic stuff. And then...
Did you feel that your mood was improving now that you were down 70 pounds? You were lighter. You started weightlifting with intermittent fasting. Do you feel like that you had any of that, high level, like when you start running on ketones during, a lot of people experience that mental clarity?
Yeah, I would say so by then I was kind of getting into some longer fasts too. So I would notice it more when I would fast for longer periods of time.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely a mood improvement. Just, I felt better. Like I just felt decent. I mean, my legs and shins were still killing me at the time, but I mean, even as that went away, it was like, I want to go back to running or stick with weightlifting. And
well, you were still 350. I mean, you weren't small yet.
No, I still needed to keep going. So I just kind of, as my shins got better, I did rollerblading and weightlifted, and I did it, probably 6 days a week.
Wow.
Some people,
that's aggressive. Yeah.
Some people say they don't know. And I felt this a little bit when I lost my weight, but some people often say, I didn't know how bad I felt until I didn't feel bad.
Yeah. That's very, very accurate.
Yeah. You don't know what feeling good even is like.
Right.
Yeah. At that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. To wait. I mean, and I'm 50, Dewey's 48, to wake up with no aches and pains at our age is pretty rare.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, and you were getting aches and pains way early on. So you were kind of an extreme case, and have the pill organizer and everything else. But once you realize and experience that waking up and nothing's creaking and there's no inflammation and swelling and soreness, you just feel good. I mean, it's pretty hard to go back to anything else.
Yeah.
So let's get to this next picture here. You're really starting to get slimmer here. Okay, so third pick.
I think this is about when we met.
March 2020.
Right I think that one I took that was right after I moved to Houston. So that one's about 2 years ago.
Yep.
So this is another 100 pounds down from the previous one. So another year later, another 100 pounds. So you were losing weight at a much more rapid pace.
Yeah, I got real serious, real competitive. I don't know if the rollerblading or the weightlifting, what exactly did it, but it awoke a competitive monster that I thought died many, many, many years ago.
Oh, that's awesome.
I just turned everything into a competition with myself. That was everything. It was me against myself. So eating was a competition to make sure I ate the right stuff, and fasting to this amount of time. And I made everything about it competitive, and that's just what worked for me.
And trying to always best yourself. If you're benching, you want to get a couple more pounds, or if you're even rollerblading, you want to be at least 1 second faster.
Yep. That
progressive overload, which for resistance training is so crucial. It sounds like you had that kind of natural instinct for that. Let me ask you this: when you looked in the mirror and you were overweight, did you shit on yourself? What do you call it, Dewey? Toxic positivity? Is that what you call it? When you're I'm a piece of shit, and did you talk beat yourself up?
So I, not so much looking in the mirror, but I would do that in hard moments, and I still do that now.
Yeah.
So you go full Goggins.
Yeah. I got to go do something. I know it's going to suck. And in my head, I'm just screaming at myself the whole time.
Right. Because
one time I was accidentally screaming out in public. So I had this, I don't remember. It was after I listened to David Goggins' book, and I woke up in the morning, did leg day, and I was using an app to track all my weightlifting at the time, and it would track the total amount of weight that you lifted. And I was pissed off at the amount that I lifted. It wasn't as much as I wanted to do or as I thought I was going to do. So I said, all right, I'm going to go run a 5K now, like right after I finish leg day. And like mile 1, like I'm whining in my head, like, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm going to quit. I don't want to do it. And not a runner, never been a runner. I'm sure my stride has got to be horrendous. It's just not for me. Like I would run 5Ks. That's the furthest I've ever ran. Well, that day I decided, no, you're going to be a little bitch. I guess we're going to go run a half marathon. So I ran 13.1 miles. It took 2.5 hours. And I was running through a super populated shopping area screaming, get moving, you little fucking bitch. Just get moving. And I looked around and all these people are staring at me and I'm going, oh crap.
Not you. I'm talking to myself.
Right.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
That's great. I mean, I see that as a powerful tool. I mean, Dewey gets shit for it from his wife sometimes. But I think if you're doing it to yourself, I mean, what you need to motivate yourself.
She always says, would you talk to another person like that?
Well, if they pay me enough, I will.
Yeah,
Depends on what they need. If you're coaching, I mean, sometimes you got to kick them in the nuts, a little bit.
If you wouldn't say it to another person, why would you say it to yourself?
Oh, but I would. Don't test me.
Yeah, I know it sounds cliche, but and you obviously are too, but I'm way harder on myself than I am other people.
Yep. 100%.
Well,
I do the competition thing too.
Yeah.
Every time I run do the 3-mile loop I call by my house, I always want to beat it.
Yep.
I always try and beat it, and it's just I need that. It's an itch, and it has to be scratched.
And that's it's kind of a male thing somewhat, but then also just for resistance training, the progressive overload, so it just lays over that so nicely is you have to be making progress. Otherwise you're not going to give the muscles enough stimulus to adapt.
I was telling someone over the weekend that, I'm a big discomfort guy. And I said,
to seek that out.
Yes. And I said, and I told this individual, I said, you have to learn to seek and embrace the discomfort, because not until it gets uncomfortable is there change.
Yeah,
exactly.
So just get to that part, because that's where the change happens.
Understand. Yep. Yeah. If you're building muscle, that's literally, it's being torn first. And that's literally what has to happen.
Yep.
And that doesn't happen by just doing a few curls until you get a nice pump.
No.
It's got to be like failure, close to failure and painful in order to have the most dramatic effect.
And look at you. You just decided that one day that instead of a 5K, well, I'm going to do a half marathon.
Yeah.
And it hurt.
Never run anything like that in my life.
And it probably hurt like hell.
Never do it again.
Right.
Yeah. The absolute hell.
Yeah. And, but look, here you are.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you were at 250 there. You said you added in weightlifting.
Yeah. So that was February. That was like right before COVID hit.
Yep.
I think that picture, I got bruises all over me. I'm wearing some blue shorts.
Yep. Blue shorts. Yep.
So I started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay.
That week. So now weightlifting, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, diets, doing really, really well.
Tell me tell me you were new without telling me you were new.
Yeah, the bruises. Covered completely. 1 week of, I think I went to 4 classes, did it for 4 hours, and I am head to toe in bruises and absolutely love every second of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Classic. Okay, so then how was the diet at this point?
So still doing intermittent fasting.
Did you change your window at all? Did you experiment with that, or were you eating?
Yeah, I did a ton of fluctuating. And once I started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu along with the weightlifting, I liked the intermittent fasting because of my crazy schedule. So I was training mornings and nights. Most days were 3-a-days. So it allowed me to eat when I had time to eat. It might be my eating window, maybe one day was only 2 hours long. The next day it might be 8 hours long. I did something different every day with just what fit my schedule, but I was eating really, really clean at the time.
And you know what you just did there? you just smashed the old, and it's not old because so many people still believe this, but you just crushed the old bullshit excuse of, well, I ate shit, but it's better than nothing.
Yep.
No, it's not. It's not better than nothing. Nothing is better every time.
Nothing is almost always better.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to cram in some drive-through food just because you need to get some calories in.
Dude,
I don't want
to lose my muscle.
No, I would go. I mean, they hated it at jiu-jitsu, but it was regular. I'd go in 70 hours fasted and be training just as hard as ever.
Yeah, I've found no noticeable, loss of working out fasted versus, right after eating or whatever. You don't need to necessarily, eat to work out.
That's why you need to be very mindful of your RPE or rate of perceived exertion.
Right?
Because that's important. You might not be, and we won't get too far into the weeds of performance nutrition, but just because you're able to work out doesn't mean that you're at your best.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Very true. So let me pull up the last pick here. So now you're looking like a freaking stud here. I mean, almost no body fat.
Weighing in Vegas.
Muscles are bigger. You're here's what they call the glow up. Now, and this is, what Chris Pratt experienced when he went from the doughy guy on Parks and Rec to what movie was he in? Well, Jurassic Park. And then the other Star Lord.
Galaxy.
Yeah. And he looks like, fat dude or chubby faced dude versus like male model. And like even Tom Brady, we noticed this in Tom Brady too. Just kind of going from skinny fat when he was a rookie to now eating super clean. His jawline got stronger.
And he works his ass off now.
Yeah. And his jawline got stronger. I mean, your face looks different. I mean, it's noticeable.
How did that, not to get superficial, but just from just an outlook or attitude wise, how did that change on how you were perceived in public? And
did you start to get comments? Because I mean, this is such a major transformation. If you hadn't seen people in a couple of years, they'd probably be like, Mike,
they'd probably walk right by you.
Recognize me. And that happened all the time. So like when I first started, I was in Wisconsin, and then I was there for about a year, and then moved to Omaha. I was there for a year and a half, and then been here in Houston for 2 years. So it was a lot of new people just seeing bits and pieces. But when I would pull up a picture, they'd like, nobody believed it. And then when I fly back home now to visit, like a lot of people don't even recognize me.
You could walk by your family members in the mall and they probably wouldn't know it was you if they hadn't seen you in a couple of years.
Yep.
I mean, it's dramatic. I mean, just not even the body, just the face. I mean, that's what's so interesting is when you get in shape and get leaner, just how much the face cleans up and looks more, angular and sharp jawline and stuff. It's because
I really noticed it, but I act aloof, but I'm like super observant, and I really pay attention to that shit. And it used to be even to the point where walking through the grocery store, you'd like have to like switch lanes or move on the other side, and you'd see a female coming the other way, and they'd smile at you.
Yes, I noticed.
And that shit, when I was heavy, never happened.
Yes.
It didn't happen.
Yes.
Well, we did a whole episode on this. I mean, it's just primal. That's just an evolutionary instinct.
A complete night and day difference.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I don't care what anybody says. That's a big deal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, for self-esteem,
right.
I bet you don't need those depression pills anymore.
No.
Right.
Yeah, it just improves your entire outlook and your attitude. I mean, it's not a superficial thing. It's just
it's just an observation.
Yeah, exactly. But it matters.
I pointed it out. I noticed frequently much more friendly interaction. At first, I thought, it's just because I moved to the South, but no, because it wasn't like that when I first got here.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah.
Awesome. That's so cool, man. So
how about
that was March 2021. Okay. So we're only, that's just a few months ago.
Yeah. The last one. Yep. March 2021.
So tell me it seems like you now this is crucial because you kind of got there, right? You kind of busted through the tape You achieved like the look that people are going for. So now what? Like, how do you keep challenging yourself to not go, well, I guess I made it. Now I'm back to my old lifestyle.
So for me, I set a new crazy goal. So like I had a list of, I don't remember exactly what they were, but I wanted to wear, I think like a size 34 waist for jeans. I wanted to be able to bench, I don't remember, 200 pounds, squat 200, something like that. I had a short list of goals that I wanted to achieve. And shortly after that picture, I kind of found the list that I had written out and went, oh crap, I achieved all these. Now what?
What do you do? Just change the numbers then, or?
No. So at the time I was doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu, training a couple times a day, still doing weightlifting. And along with Brazilian jiu-jitsu came some MMA training. And so I think just about June, July last year, I decided I'm going to try to fight in a cage at some point. So that was my next goal. Never have done any form of martial arts. Maybe a couple bar fights back in the day, if I can remember them.
And that was mostly you just sitting on people.
Yeah, that's all I needed to do, or just stand there.
Bear hug.
So I decided that I was going to learn at least how to fight. Whether it actually happens or not, I don't know. But that's
in Houston, I'm sure there's lots of opportunities, right?
There is a ton.
Like amateur MMA leagues down there.
Yep, there's a ton of stuff down here. So I spent probably a year training 2 to 3 times a day, 7 days a week. And that was my goal. Like I needed something crazy to keep reaching for. Yeah. And that's what it was.
I think you can never give that up. I mean, I think that's until you're dead. You have to always have something to strive for.
I'm constantly replacing the carrot.
You have to, because I think, especially men, I think we're just wired that way where you have to be in pursuit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can't just lay back. And that's why, when you always hear about the stories of people retiring and then dropping dead 6 months later because they just tried to sit on the rocking chair. And, you can retire from your job, but you still have to have pursuits and something you're passionate about.
Right.
And I think that happens till you're dead. I mean, one thing I was going to point out too is you see this in a lot of high performers. Like, look at all the strong men that have transitioned into boxing now. Have you noticed that?
Oh, Thor and Eddie Hall. And
they peaked out in strongman and, they realize
or they age out.
Yeah. So what's next? What's the next challenge? They're not just going, well, I'm retired now, I'm just going to lay around. They're like,
Eddie Hall
Thor is all slimmed down and he's getting ready to box.
And Eddie Hall said, I'm going to be a professional shit talker. And then I'm going to maybe box Thor.
Shit.
And Thor will whip his ass.
Well, just the reach and the size he's got is insane.
Right.
But it just speaks to they just replaced their goal.
It's got to be something.
They're always pushing for something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I just
So what are you doing now? It says in your sorry to interrupt you there, but it says in your post here, you're eating 8 meals a day for a total of 4,000 calories a day. Focus on proper nutrition, strength training, get some cardio in, focus on strength, drop body fat. That's a key point that we make quite a bit, that I think people just think you got to get on the treadmill more. And you're saying building the muscle is really the key to that. Can you speak to that?
Yeah. I look at it like the year from 350 to 250, that was weightlifting. Mm-hmm. Like I lost 100 pounds with weightlifting, and I still did some cardio, but not that much, not anywhere near as much as I thought I would have had to lose weight. And
the slower dropping was when you were rollerblading a lot.
Yeah, I was doing cardio. Granted, my nutrition wasn't as good, but it took two years to drop 70, and then I dropped 100 in about a year.
Right, dramatically faster pace.
Yes.
The best, the ancillary, the anabolic effect that goes on after weightlifting is so great.
Yeah.
That there's just so much additional fat burn that takes place well after you left the gym.
And just having that more pounds of lean muscle on you that's always burning calories, even at rest, allows you to just get rid of a lot more calories per day.
Yep.
So tell me about like what does a day look like now as far as nutrition wise? What kind of like intermittent fasting window?
Because 4,000 calories in a when you're time restricted feeding,
that's tough to
get. That's a lot of calories in a small window. Oh, okay.
Like, if I might fast for 6 hours while I'm sleeping. That's about it.
Okay.
Even then,
so you've upped your calories and just because of the training.
Yep. So yeah, so that last picture, I was like 225 pounds. I cut another 10 or 15. So I got down to like halfway. I got down to like 210, 214, somewhere in that range. And I lost literally half my body weight.
Right.
And
crazy.
So even a little bit leaner than that picture was there. And that was about June of this year. And since then, I've been just trying to put on all the muscle I can. So I kind of did like a lazy, dirty bulk at first, decided just to take like a month or so, and still worked out like crazy, but ate a lot more freely, and just kind of watched the scale and how I felt. But then decided trying to think, when did I get on that scanner? So probably the last 7 weeks, I've been real strict about nutrition. So my normal day is I wake up at about 3:30 in the morning. Up at 3:30, start the day with a protein shake and a bunch of water, get a little bit of caffeine. And then I head to the gym, and I either have a group weightlifting. So I started doing personal training this year as well. So that's taken up a lot of my time, but I absolutely love doing it. So I'm at the gym from about 5 a.m. to 7:30, quick shower, off to the day job. And then from the day job straight back to the gym, usually there between 5:30 and 6. And then I'm there until 7:30 or 8 generally. I try to squeeze my lifting in between clients and in between groups, or sometimes it's at the end. Last night, it was the end of the day. I was hitting back quick. But as far as eating goes, like I eat the exact same stuff every day. I don't recommend that people necessarily eat this way. It just depends on what's your goal.
I'm most successful when I eat like a dog.
Yeah. I just
same dish, same food.
Yep. I don't have to think about what to grocery shop. I know every Sunday I have to go buy 4 pounds of chicken, 4 pounds of beef, 4 pounds of ground turkey. I know I need a big bag of rice, some yogurt, and some oat milk. Like I buy the same stuff every week.
Yep.
So what are your macros? Like, let's get into that a little bit. So it sounds like lean meats.
Yep.
So you said chicken, turkey, lean beef, was it?
Yep. Turkey, chicken, and beef.
So you're really minimizing the fat content then.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of how I feel when I eat much more fat. So right now I'm eating 500 carbs, 300 grams of protein, and about 100 grams of fat roughly.
That's super, super low fat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel good. Like my joints feel good. Everything feels really good. My guess is the fat's a little bit higher than that, but just because when I do ground beef, I do 85-15 just to get a little bit of fat with it.
Sure.
And I mean, at this point, even at eating 4,000 calories a day, the scale went up. So I've been sitting like 250 now for the last month, and I've kind of just been stuck there, which I'm okay with. I do a body scan every month, and it's showing that body fat's still dropping a little slowly, real slow.
In this picture here, the fourth picture when you were 250, what was your body fat percentage there?
So when
that was 225.
When I started
225.
My first body fat measurement was at would have been June, and I think I was like 15%, right around there.
Isn't that crazy? Because if I look at this picture, I would have said way lower than that.
Sure.
Yeah, I want to say that might have been closer to 12. I want to say it's somewhere in the 12 to 15. I don't know how accurate.
It depends on time of day and how much water you had. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just from looking at pictures, I'm guessing 12 to 15, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, it's always a higher number than it looks like. I mean, at least to me, I've found that I'm off on that guessing. You know, so in order to, it's like below 10 is incredibly lean looking. Because I would have said 10 or something looking at this picture, but you said 12 to 15. So I got to adjust my my guessing here.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there right now I'm sitting about 15%, but at 250 pounds.
Yeah.
I've put on a lot of muscle this year. Like shirt sizes had to go up, which that's a whole different weird thing after like spending all this time trying to get clothing sizes down and now going, oh crap, I got to buy bigger shirts.
Right. Bigger in the arms and the shoulders, not the gut though. Before it used to be the buttons popping off at the gut. Now they're popping off and the sleeves won't fit. That's sleeves, much better problem to have.
Pretty soon you're going to have to go get a tailored button-up shirt. That's when the fun begins.
Oh, I think I'm already there.
Yeah.
I think I'm pants too. So now like the waist is too big, but the legs is way too tight.
Yeah. You have to get those weightlifter jeans that are like all stretchy in the thighs for the quads.
That's we're right there. Even the joggers I'm wearing right now are freaking snug and they fit really well not too long ago. But
awesome, man.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, my goal is just see how much I can bulk over the winter here while I keep doing personal training. MMA is kind of taking a back seat with personal training. I don't know if there's a career in the fitness industry for me, but this is kind of my test to try it out, I guess. Mm-hmm. So I put the fighting on a back seat for now. I still get in and do some jiu-jitsu at least. But
well, now that you've been training people, and obviously they might not have the same discipline level and fire inside that you did to make that dramatic change. What's your experience been training people? Has it been disappointing more than you thought or more inspiring than you thought before you got into it?
So I would say more inspiring than I thought.
Oh, good.
The variety of people, first off, is really cool. And I think I've got 23 clients right now. Really, everyone I have pushes. They seem to resonate with the fact that I was, in worse shape than they are currently at that point. And then to see me standing right there I don't know if that's what is making the difference.
They have no excuse.
That's the ultimate resume.
You're right.
Yeah. That's kind of what I tell people. Like, hey, I've kind of figured this stuff out on my own. I basically was my own personal trainer for like 4 years. Just kind of figured it out with YouTube and taking videos of my form. And I spent 1.5 years working out in my garage. Once the gyms closed for COVID, I bought all the gym equipment I needed and had a garage full and worked out by myself for a year and a half.
That's awesome.
It is.
Whatever it takes,
Yeah.
So one thing that's I like to talk about is who did you impact immediately around you? Family-wise. Did somebody go, spouse or kids or anybody, if brothers, sisters, parents go, you know what, I'm going to do this?
Yeah. So so going through a divorce at the moment, but my wife at the time, she also lost about 100 pounds. So between the two of us, we were down 300.
Crazy.
And then even just trying to get nutrition kind of into the kids' heads, even at such a young age, because every time we ask them, what do you want to eat? McDonald's. Well, this was, I don't know, a year ago, we'll say. So they're 6 and 8. And I showed them, hey, here's this guy stuck a McDonald's cheeseburger in the cupboard and it sat there for 5 years or however long that was. And I said, see, it looks just like that. I said, what do you guys think that is? You think that's food? Mm-hmm. I don't remember if I had found some old moldy thing in the fridge and used that as an example, but it seemed to get through their heads that that's not really food.
Well, yeah, that's a great point with kids too, because they'll model whatever you're doing. So one of the things we did was just got rid of cereal and milk, right? Because that was their go-to breakfast. And now we just feed them eggs and sausage and they don't care. They're fine with it.
Yeah.
They'll adapt. So, it's so crucial as a parent that you're trying to instill those behaviors in them as early as you can.
Yeah.
Especially when they see, their dad, get in such great shape over the time that they've been alive too. That's got to be very impactful for them.
It's hard for them too. My daughter was at a sleepover one time and the mom at the sleepover said, do you guys want a pop or soda for you down in Texas? Well, no, you're Wisconsin. You call it pop. So she said, do you want a pop? And they came around to my daughter and my daughter goes, no, I don't drink pop. And the mom,
like you losers.
And the mom, knowing Mel and I, my wife and I are, relatively fit, stopped and looked at my daughter and goes, "Of course you don't."
Right.
Wow.
That's the shit that they're faced with every day.
Yeah.
And we try and teach them the right things.
Yeah, but you get looked down at because
there's fit shaming's a real thing.
Fit shaming, that's a good one. Well, I was going to ask you that when you were going through your transformation and being strict on fasting and things, did you experience any insulting behavior, like if you wouldn't eat the donuts at the office party? Or
constantly, especially when I was like real strict about fasting.
Yeah,
constantly. It was
that's not good for you.
Never ending comments.
Yep.
And the people that would make them they've never heard the phrase "people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones."
Right.
What are you telling me?
Right.
Like, I'm going to listen to you, fatty. Come on.
Right. It's if I usually do the Jerry Seinfeld and the George Costanza, when my friends will be like, "Oh, you got to live a little, eat this," and I said, when Jerry tells George, "The very fact that you oppose this tells me that I'm doing the right thing."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you say, "The jerk store called. They're all out of you."
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I just shut up about that stuff. Like when I'm doing fasting or low carb or whatever I'm doing, and people interact, I just try to never be preachy about it and just try to be under the radar. But yeah, it still ends up coming for you because people notice.
Yeah. Every once in a while, something fun happens though. Like I think I've told this story before. I was at work and a vendor brought in some donuts, and he was a new vendor. We had never met him before. And I just walked past him, and he's like, "Oh, you don't want a donut?" And one of our CSRs goes, "Does he look like he eats donuts?"
Yeah, I was gonna say I've noticed the last 6 months to a year, I don't really get those comments anymore.
No.
It's like almost like people figured out that maybe he knows what he's doing.
Yep. And now I'm wearing them down because I didn't even tell you this. Last time we had a celebration. It was a birthday celebration, and everyone always we always get donuts when it's someone's birthday.
Of course, yeah.
And last time they had the guy who usually runs the errand to go get them got fruit too.
Ooh. Nice. It's a step in the right direction.
Right.
All right, Mike. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up there. But if anybody wanted to get a hold of you, are you taking more clients? Do you have a website or Facebook?
Yeah, so I would say on Instagram, it's Mike_Forster_fitness.
Awesome. And we'll put the link in the show notes, obviously, too.
Yeah, I've started just doing more posting on there, just seeing what can I do to help motivate other people. But
awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Look me up on there. Feel free to send messages. All my personal trainings through a gym here locally. So I guess you'd have to be just south of Houston, Texas. Right. But if you happen to be, send me a message. We'll get in for a workout.
Awesome, man.
Awesome.
Definitely passes.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up there. Make sure you guys send emails to info@fitandfurious.com. Watch on YouTube so you can see these amazing pictures of Mike. You got to check those out. Check us out anywhere audio podcasts are found. Please subscribe, rate, review, and share. And we will see you next week.